Welcome back. New polling already in the field this weekend, including from Marquette, looking ahead to the David Crowley-Tom Tiffany matchup. And now the first snapshot unveiled right here. The Badger Battleground poll commissioned by Platform Communications. David Crowley, 48, Tom Tiffany, 44. The poll taken this past Wednesday and Thursday after the primary among 500 likely voters. So let's get right to it with Republican strategist Keith Gilkes, Democratic strategist Tanya Bjork, who oversaw the poll. Both of you, thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thanks. Keith, let's just walk me through what this poll found and where we sit here today.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, this is a snapshot in time right after the primary. What it tells us is it's a statistical tie at the end of the day. Yes, David Crowley is up by 4 points over Tom Tiffany. But that's well within the margin of error and very typical for this type of race. We're in a purple state, so I wouldn't expect anything else, and the campaign's just starting.
Tanya, does this represent a boost, so to speak, that the candidates sometimes get coming out of?
I think that's part of it, but this poll has some kind of not great news for Tom Tiffany. I mean, he technically he should probably be leading right now. He spent all summer long, running really great positive ads, and his ads were really good, trying to introduce him to voters, and that doesn't seem to have broken through, even though he was sort of unanswered all summer long.
Let me ask you about that. When you look at independents on this, Crowley leads 42-30. Is that concerning? Should that be concerning for Tiffany World?
Well, yes, because we have to get out there and get the message out about what Tom's policies are and what his positions are, and make sure people really truly understand the contrast. What you see in the poll is kind of a reflection of what the generic political environment is. We're kind of starting at zero at the moment in terms of in the general as opposed to the primary. And so moving forward, the key part of this is going to be the independents. And look, everyone knows what our state comes down to: presidential fall elections, gubernatorial fall elections. This is plus or minus, 20, 30,000 votes. And that's where the battle's going to be fought.
What's the biggest concern for the Crowley world when you look at these numbers in terms of the work they need to do?
Well, I think there's not a lot of bad news in this poll for the Crowley folks. I mean, there is a fair amount of bad news for Tom Tiffany. The other part of it, too, is I think 61%, I think in the poll, said that they believe that the country is going in the wrong direction. That's not good for somebody who's a sitting congressman.
When we talk about the Tiffany campaign, we just heard him talking about President Trump, and Democrats are going to bring that up nonstop between now and November. How does he need to answer that question and that relationship since Trump's approval rating is dropping?
Well, look, number one, this is a gubernatorial election. It's about state issues. He is running on what it means for the state of Wisconsin in terms of his policies and how it'll impact families. Voters want to love their governor. They want to know their governor. The old saying, they want to have a beer with their governor. They may not want that necessarily with their U.S. senator or congressman or congresswoman, but they do want that with their governor, or in this case, in brandy old fashioned.
When you look at the Crowley campaign and the chaos that came out of this primary, how does he recover from that, and how does he get his sea legs, so to speak, so quickly, so fast now looking at November?
I think he pretty much recovered from the chaos. I mean, this is the comeback kid, the comeback Crowley. I think they're in a good position now. And speaking of wanting to have a beer with your governor, I think the other thing that is a big benefit to Crowley, we saw it in the primary, but also we're going to see it in the general too, is the popularity of Tony Evers. That's going to be a big thing, because people do say in many places and in this poll that they would like to have a beer with Tony Evers.
I did just ask David that question. Would you have lost if Tony Evers wouldn't have been on the trail with you? And he didn't specifically say yes or no, but I mean, will the governor need to get out with him again like we saw in this primary?
I think so. I think it's less important for the general, because people will assume that a Democratic governor supports the Democratic nominee for governor. But I think Tony Evers and his team has shown a willingness to get out there and end this thing strong. And I think that's what they're going to continue to do for the general election, too.
You guys both have been inside campaigns before and big major campaigns. What advice, as we sit here today, would you give the Tiffany world?
I think it's just you got to get out there every single day, carry forward the issues, build your narrative, your image, tell people what you stand for, and draw that contrast so people have a clear definition of who you are and who your opponent is.
How does David Crowley win over Francesca Hong supporters?
Well, I think it started already. Francesca Hong showed up the very next morning. She conceded right away. She could have called for a recount. She didn't do that. that. She conceded right away. She showed up Wednesday morning for breakfast with the entire team, and I think is already committed to campaigning with him. And the Crowley team is a very smart team, and they will figure out when and where the best time to do that is. That'll become.
Does she need to stand alongside him, do you think?
I think,
does
yes,
that
she
help
does.
or
I
hurt?
think she will.
In terms of Republicans, though, saying she's a Democratic Socialist, so that means he's a Democratic Socialist. Is this catchphrase "Democratic Socialist" going to be with us from now until November on both sides of this?
Not on our side. It might be on their side.
On our side. Both this election and beyond.
And beyond,
I don't
I'm
think
sure.
it's going to get dealt with in just this election cycle.
And Wisconsin obviously is unique in terms of how this all played out in the last week and a half, but does it say anything about the larger progressive movement sweeping the country that this did not succeed here in the state?
I think it's too early to tell what
Yeah.
this says particularly about the entire progressive movement. I think it's a little too soon to tell.
All right, it is a long yet a short road to November. Republican strategist Keith Gilkes, Democrat Tanya Bjork. Thank you both very much. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Up next, the newest justice.